Hey all, welcome, welcome. See some people coming in, but not sure if you can hear or see me. Hello, hello. Okay. All right. Can everyone hear and see me? Welcome. Awesome. So if you guys want to just go ahead and find the chat. Oops, sorry, skipping ahead here. Okay, if you want to find the chat, there should be a chat box, and I'd love to hear where some of you are coming from. If you want to just do a quick introduction of yourself. Welcome all the new people coming in. So in the chat, if you want to do just a quick introduction, what your organization is, just so I can get a feel for the audience here and where everyone's at. If you can hear me. If it's snowing by you like it is here in Chicago, that'd be awesome, just to give me a little heads up. All right. If you have an organization, what is your organization? I'd love to hear about it. We're all here for Sports Philanthropy Network and making some amazing world changes. So I'd love to hear about that in the chat. If everyone wants to just put a little something. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started today. I am so excited to share with you a very deep passion of mine, which is some people will say, wow, this is new information, or this is stuff that we all need to be hearing and talking about. But today I'd love to share with you some all about ethical marketing. So if you are an organization, I'd love for you to share in the chat if it's available, you know, what organization you are part of, where you're coming from, and if you are in the marketing role of your organization. I'd love to hear about that. So first and foremost, hello everyone, welcome. My name is Dana Magnus, and I am the brand strategist and agency owner of the marketing brand. I'm coming to you today as a Sports Philanthropy Network fan. Roy Kessel, who is the founder, and I have been collaborating a lot on ethical leadership and ethical business, and of course, talking about marketing, since it is kind of that first initial feel and touch point that people get to experience as part of as part of the first step in your brand and your organization. So I'm really honored to be here today and to share with you what I know about ethical business, ethical leadership, and ethical marketing. So a little bit about business and a little bit about organizations, sporting organizations, and just the whole picture is that in your organization, lo and behold, there is an audience. People are listening to what you're saying, whether that's live and in person, anything on the field, anything that your constituents and your partners, your business owners, the whole team is talking about. And how does those words and how does that overall message feel to the public? And today we're talking about how everything in our organization is connected to the rest of the world. I know that may sound crazy and intimidating, and like we're very small, and our organization may be small, but the world is so big. But if you think about the 6 degrees of separation to everybody, we are all connected, and what we are saying, how we're showing up in the world, and how we're showing up in our marketing truly does matter. So if your organization is not communicating the right thing, we may be driving people to a distasteful or just not as impactful message that we don't mean to intend to say. Oh, here we go. So a little bit more about me. Welcome some new people. My philosophy really is a little bit different in marketing. I have a stance of coming from a background when I was studying advertising in college, and all I felt, and maybe some of you totally can jive with this, but the word marketing or advertising at first seems so glamorous and so like, wow, this is like the idealistic life that we all want to live. And marketing helps us get everything that we want, right? It helps us say, wow, this product or service allows our life to be so much better than it is. And when you learn and study advertising and marketing, you realize that there's so much emotional manipulation and just otherwise this feeling of lack, that the feeling of abundance is not there. And unfortunately, this is what drives a lot of our consumer and behavioral culture, is that this feeling like we don't have enough and that we need stuff. We need to be subscribed to certain influencers or center of influences to feel like enough. And I'm on the mission to really address that human beings don't really need anything, right? Our modern world is so focused on needing more and having more and doing more. And at the end of the day, all it does is just make us feel so disconnected to what we truly desire. So, my approach to marketing, if this is something that will resonate with some of you, is that we don't want to market, especially in our organizations, to provide this feeling of lack, but we want to market in a way to cultivate community, bring people together, collaborate on ideas, and let's really get to the bottom of creating some solutions that are truly going to change the world. All of you here are part of this sports philanthropy network world. We're here because we believe that sports and organizations around the amazing things that is these wonderful activities is so important, so we can cultivate this community and we can really truly make an impact on what everything that sports touches. So I really just am grateful that you all are here, because you all do find some sort of desire to want to make the world a better place by being here. And so I wanted to get just some of your kind of brains thinking, and maybe you want to sit back in your chair a little bit, do a little stretch, relax, and think less about the organizations who are doing it wrong, right? Because we know all about the organizations and businesses who are not ethical, right? We hear about them in the news, we hear them pointed out all the time on their scandals and all the bad things that some of these big CEOs are doing that make us disgusted. But how do you describe the organization that feels ethical? Like, what does that feel like to you? And I'm going to share a little story about where the first glimpse of this was in my life and why I went down this journey. So I'll just give you a couple seconds to think about what businesses or organizations or even sporting teams feel good, like they're doing it right, and they're like pat on the back, like they really have it going on. Because I really want us to start visualizing that, because I want that for you in your organization. So it was in college, of course, studying this manipulation. I was like, oh man, why am I here? Why am I sitting in this chair in the middle of the classroom at DePaul University about, not nursery, but university about 10 years ago. And I was like, wow, this just feels like everyone's just telling each other what to do and how to be and what to buy. And, it just felt really yucky. And it felt like somebody was holding my life in their hands, and they had control over every action that I took. So I didn't feel like that was good for the society. I didn't feel like it really inspired collective intelligence where people can actually think for themselves and be authentic and genuine toward each other and live a genuine life. And I view ethics as really a position of really thinking about the greater good for all. It's not just seeing how much transactions we can bring in for ourselves. So it's really about like, well, what are we doing to make the world a better place? And that's really where I wanted to be. And all of a sudden on the screen in like a slide just like this in my one of my introductory advertising classes was Tom's shoes. And they had the whole like story about these amazing shoes, right? They're okay looking, right? They look really cozy, like you can wear them as a house slippers and whatnot. But the whole purpose was is they were panning around this little village in some faraway country, and it was explaining that for every pair of shoes purchased, a pair of shoes was donated to somebody who couldn't obviously afford it in a different country. And I thought, wow, what a way to really incorporate a business practice, right? Selling stuff, but then turning around and saying, the more we sell, the more we give. And I feel like there had to have been something strong, really strong and clear as part of the company culture that said, we want to wake up every day and feel really good about what we are doing. We want to feel so aligned that the purpose and the purpose of our business really stands to make a bigger impact in the world. So if you have any other examples, I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear about what examples of ethical businesses you really think about. And one day we could chat about it and we could talk about it in the Ethical Leaders Live or Your Ethical Business group that I actually host. So this is just like a small reflection on like, what are people doing that feel good? And I love that over the past 10 years, there has been an increase in organizations and, philanthropy and charity that has been so much more amplified and grown because, again, we influence one of each other. And Tom Shoes is connected to a lot of different customers who now question, well, if I'm buying this pair of shoes over here that aren't Tom's, who am I making rich and what are they doing to give back? So we start to create this beautiful snowball effect when we start to market ourselves and change the perceptions of what we're doing because we truly are aligned. So here's just a quick little definition. I wanted to really highlight what ethical standards means as a set of principles that we are communicating our absolute just go-to moral values. And communication is the word I really wanted to highlight because, again, that's why you're all here, is learning a bit about ethical marketing and what it means. And you're definitely using your values as a framework to make decisions moving forward in your organization. So kind of reflecting on that, what framework are you operating on right now if it isn't about your values, right? If it's skipping steps and it's jumping right to let's make as much money as possible, or let's hit these incredible goals over here that we're not really sure why that's even a value. We just pulled a goal out because we can. So getting clear on what I believe your values is really the first way to start building a strong ethical community around you. Okay. So think about that right now. And you're thinking, Dana, why are you talking about community? Like, what the heck is a community? What does it mean? And because I know the audience here is leaders of organizations, whether that's in business or it's in sports or it's in community events, we are all cultivating groups of people to, first of all, know about us, because that would be the first step. You all have heard of this. In any marketing seminar, you would hear the know, like, and trust factor. So first of all, you want to know they want to know about you. It's a group of people who you really feel like they can start to understand. All right, we get what they're doing. We're understanding their mission. That's cool. But then the most important thing is they want to trust you. And that's what truly makes the strong community stay together. Sorry, there's so much stuff in the background. But the community that wants to stay together is not just a single transaction. It's not just a one time someone shows up at your event. It's not just a one time that somebody buys something for you or signs up for something that you're promoting in your organization. This is the long haul type of people. These are the people in your community that you think back, wow, They were one of our founding community members 5 years ago. They not only purchase from us, they talk about us to all their friends and family. They've brought, referrals from all over the world because they just love what we're doing in our organization. And building a strong community based on ethics is really truly basing on values, and they're all more like-hearted in this position. And you're going to share with them how they can move forward with you because they're in it for the long haul, like I said. So here's a little exercise. I know this is a workshop time. You've all heard from all these amazing keynote speakers the last 2 days. You've been really excited about participating and implementing. So if you have a piece of paper, if you have just like you want to pull up some, note-taking app, whether that's Evernote or Google Keep or just a Google Doc or something like that, pull out your phone and start typing this. But what does your organization really stand for? I'll give you about 15 seconds to really just jot down what comes to mind. What does your organization stand for? And this is just a quick little brain dump. What does it mean? I wish we had chat feature really working here because I would love to hear from you all. And second is, sorry. I don't know how to go back. There we go. And so once you have that kind of just like a quick little sentence, maybe a couple words, a couple phrases down for what your organization stands for, is what do you believe your organization's highest values are? And go ahead and jot anything down and we can prioritize them in order in just a moment. But what are those highest values? Is it money? Is it community? Is it service? Is it making a greater impact? Is it family? So writing down what your highest values are. Is it exercise? Is it winning? So all of these things are kind of just a way to just start putting what is your highest value? Is it the environment? Is it, anything that comes to mind? And what I found is that companies and organizations that do not have this written down and organizations that do not have their highest values outlined, prioritized, and just easily accessible throughout the rest of their community, they have a lot of communication issues. They never know what to put on their bio, on their social media. They don't know how to make content when it comes to content creation in their marketing. When they have people speak on their behalf of their organization, they may or may not get the mission statement correct, but the highest values aren't really truly brought out. And what happens when the highest values aren't really clearly identified, when you're marketing your organization and you're sharing all the great things that are happening, is that you get people who are disconnected. Have you ever had that one person that kind of slipped through and they did something unethical, right? I'm thinking of like a story of like, in a youth organization, you have like that really bad coach, right? The coach who's just always angry and they're in it just to win. And you're like, man, what is this guy doing here? Why is he part of this soccer organization? And where did he come from? And, the parents are complaining about him. And I think that there's this disconnect when the values weren't clearly communicated, that people sign up for things or be a part of your community for the wrong reasons. And unfortunately, that's like a virus. And I know it's a sensitive time to even talk about that, but it could be like a like a fall day, and once the wind comes and sweeps, all the leaves fall. So once one person's demonstrating a really strong value on one way, they all kind of start to question, well, what are the values of this organization? Why did that person slip through? Like, what's happening there? So if these highest values aren't communicated and they're not clearly spelled out, it's really hard to market your business, and it will feel so wonky and really out of whack. So this usually, when I work with businesses on their marketing plans and strategies, if they are very unclear on their highest values, it really comes down to kind of just a mess. So if you are somebody who's ready to take it to the next level to create what your business mission is or your organization's mission is, This is the formula. And if you want to take a screenshot or write this down, this is kind of the whole formula of creating a way to ethically engage your community. So you have that clear highest values written down. I would say 4 to 5, no more than that, because you really want those to be just tangible and somebody who's a complete stranger to your organization to pick it up and run with it. And they're like, ooh, we totally are super clear on what this organization stands for. So I wouldn't overcomplicate your values and have it like 10 values. That may be too much. So if you can condense it down to your top 4, that would be awesome. And I'll tell you why in a minute. So you want to have a clearly defined list of your values. Then this is something that you can do in your planning process. You want to identify the problem that you solve. And I think that we, as organization leaders, is sometimes we don't know the answer to this question. Again, as a marketing consultant, I see this all the time. People think they solve 20,000 problems, but it's like, this is the best way I can sum it up is if the world did not have your organization, what would they lack? And again, don't mean to bring this up in a way that the old advertising training that I had is all about lack mentality, but really if your organization was absent, what happens? Like what really is the challenge in the world? So if you run it, a sports foundation and you provide scholarship opportunities for for people going to college and they want to play college ball or something like that, as simple as the students don't have access to the funds that they need, right? So if you're not really clear on the problem that you solve, I do some drafting on this and just some workshopping around it, but you really want to feel very clear on who it is and what they don't have in your organization if your organization was to go away. Okay. Sometimes this is really fun because you really start to, ooh, this feels good. I do serve a bigger purpose. Your good idea that you had to start your organization becomes just so much more relevant and clear. And then last but not least is your vision. And your vision in your organization is where you want to go. And if you are not creating your 2021 vision right now in your organization, now is the time, right? Especially before the holidays kick off. You really want to be super clear on what that vision is. And altogether, having your highest values, the problem that you solve, and your vision all working together to create each and every marketing touch point is what I call it. So a social media post, a presentation, when you go to a networking event, what's your pitch sound like? And it's not, and as you can see, this is not all about exactly the details of what we do every day. People don't really care. They just want to feel connected to say, wow, you're relevant, you're a leader, you're making a great change in the world. We want to be part of your community. That's the difference between pushing somebody to a transaction that says yes or no, I need that right now or I don't, versus, wow, how can I support you? Can I share with anyone what your mission is? And can I bring more people your way? I really want this organization to thrive and to really be something one day. How can I step up and contribute? Because what you're talking about is what I want to. And that feels so good. Okay. So this is a little different than maybe what you've been told about how to market. And this is a little just a different way to look at the approach of leading with your ethics and leading with the good things that you do in the world. And it's also very simple at the same time, which is like, let's not overcomplicate and overburden people with the features and benefits and how-tos, especially when you're out marketing to the public. You just want to share with them how amazing your organization really is and what they do to contribute to some really substantial, needs in society. Okay. So make sure you grab that down. This could be a combination. I just wanted to make sure that all 3 elements were really important to communicate. Okay. All right. Last but not least, so the first thing we talked about is creating a very strong list and prioritized list of your highest values. Number two is creating a mission statement out of your values, your vision, and the problem that you truly solve. So number three is creating these ethical standards across your organization so you don't have PR mishaps. I studied public relations as well, but you don't have these big unfortunate events that that lead your brand down the wrong path. And why I say that is because of that example I gave is, you want everyone in your community to stand for a like-hearted, just they're ready to go, they're ready to connect, and they're ready to stand for something just as intentional and with integrity that you do. You can't be the only one in your community who wants to be the world changer, and they want all these great, amazing things to happen. Cultivating a community is all about saying, how can I divide up the work and make a greater impact? So it's as simple as creating some ethical standards. And this is seen in a myriad of different ways. So whether you're creating a code of ethics, maybe this is on your website, and it is something that you just really want to put out there because you feel like, you know what, this is really what exemplifies what we do in our organization without question. A code of ethics and creating these ethical standards helps to really solidify that you can be trustworthy and that there are non-negotiables in terms of what you feel like is morally right. So it's not like, hey, once we hit a certain threshold of money, we kind of turn a little money hungry and then we turn into different people. Unfortunately, you hear about this in sports all the time is, people, and I don't mean to overgeneralize here, but you do hear it where, sometimes money or fame or power gets to people's heads and they start to do unethical things. So you really want to have a standard of ethics. So then we feel like we can create a community that everyone's built together. Excuse me. And we definitely want to create some sort of code of conduct for our employees and our organization members. And then also see if you can find this rhythm and consistency with all the marketing content that you share out as well. And I'll get to that in a second about how to really take the values and break it down into marketing pieces. This is something I teach all the time. But the last piece that I just wanted to share is that, there is this really awesome organization called B Labs, and they are the head of movement makers of the B Corporation movement, right? They help corporations from around the world have an ethical standard, the highest level for environment, people, planet, and profits. So they encourage people to, if you make money, that's great, but what are you going to do with it, right? That's the bigger question. That's the question of ethics right there. So you have millions and zillions of dollars. Okay, how much of it is actually giving back to the world? Or are you just holding it for yourself just because you want to see a number in the bank account, whatever it is. So I think a great ethical standard for me as a consumer, just as an example to you, I always scroll down to every website of a new product or service I'm looking at, see in the footer, do they have that little B Corporation stamp of approval? To me, that's creating a way of creating an ethical standard that no matter where I want to vote with my dollars, wherever I want to put my money, I want to give it to an ethical business who is treating their employees right, that is encouraging fair trade, that gives back to the environmental issues, like right alignment with my highest values. And you can have your own set of ethical standards, how you shop, how you hire, how you run your business, how you cultivate community around your organizations. It's just a way to feel like what I'm doing is not deceiving my values, okay? So creating those ethical standards and not only everything that you do that your organization stands for is really just gonna, like I said, drive home that impact on your values. And I'm not saying all of this because I feel like this is just what's right and this is what my morals align me with, but it's just science, right? This is just what's happening in society. And this was in 2018, and I know for sure that we're almost at the end of 2020 that this number has even gone up higher. We see that in the way that the polarization of our society right now is happening, unfortunately, but like people really are listening. just like my first slide, people are listening. People care about things more than you think they do, especially when it comes to where they're spending their money, where they're spending their time, where they're pouring out their their efforts. And in a world of social influence, people want to be associated with things that they want to feel are best representing them and their values. Okay, this is just going to be continuously increasing over time in this age of technology that we're in, that we all want to be connected to organizations and brands and companies that we feel like represent our highest values. Okay, and so 64% of customers and consumers choose to avoid or boycott based on societal issues and based on ethics and based on values. And I mean, this is just like a significant kind of slap in the face for some people who are afraid to really truly talk about what their business or their organization stands for in communicating their highest values, because they just think, well, no one's going to read that, or they don't really care. They just want to get to the point. It's like, well, no, people do actually care. So if that's something that you're questioning right now, here are some data and science to back it up. So we'll talk about, I know we have just a few more moments here. We'll talk a little bit about creating the sustainable and ethical marketing systems. Again, I'd love to have some chat time, but I know that chat is turned off, unfortunately. I don't know if I can. I think I can I think some of you can unmute, because I kind of want to have a conversation with you all, if that's possible. Can someone volunteer to unmute themselves?
Hey, I think this works.
Yes. Okay, great. Awesome. And who is this?
Chloe Rothman from Shooting Touch.
Hey, Chloe. Nice to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Um, Chloe, what's one way that you're marketing? Well, what's your organization, and what's one way that you're marketing right now?
Sure. So Shooting Touch works with girls in the city of Boston. We use basketball as a platform for social change, various other health inequities and opportunity gaps. We're also working in East Africa and Rwanda with youth and women in rural areas of Rwanda to do a lot of the same with health, education, and whatnot. And I guess a question I have for you, and to answer your question, firstly, we do a lot of, we have themes that we really focus on, a lot of empowerment, gender equity, racial equity, health equity is really what we try to stick to with kind of the underlying theme of let's educate, let's inspire, and have everyone reach their highest potential. But a question for you really is, how do you get people to care about what you're doing without kind of putting the sad images up and the it's just not, I don't like to sucker people in with feeling guilty. But how do you get people to really pay attention to all the good work you're doing without kind of falling into that trap?
That's a fantastic question, Chloe. Thank you for asking that. The biggest thing for me and communication is really, we got to find, and I think it may be, okay, so there's two elements. So one of them is, who are you talking to that may never care about that, because that's not their value, right? They don't truly care about, the vision of what you're doing. Maybe they don't understand it. But making sure that you have alignment in the people that you're sharing this with, first of all, is a great first step. So asking yourself, when I'm sharing these powerful messages, and just like you presented to me, like we're using basketball as a platform, and we're serving people, we're serving the basketball community, and it gives back to a completely faraway land that you would think we'd never see or be affected by on a daily basis, but like we're all connected. Okay, so you have to find who you're talking to that matters to. So other people who share those values. And then number two is, what's in it for them. If people find that, wow, if I contribute or I support or I can really share the news about this amazing organization, it's fulfilling my personal mission as well. That's the combination. So I feel like it just may be a disconnect in the people you're talking to who don't care, because in ethical leadership and ethical marketing, we never want to manipulate, right? We never want to have to change somebody's mind. We never want to, and I even have a problem sometimes with the word influencer, because we're just like we're trying to persuade people to do something they don't already feel connected to do. But we want to empower people to say, hey, if this is truly what you want in the world and you want to see done in the world, we are a great first step to get to help you on your mission to make a bigger impact for, you know, those citizens in Rwanda, and et cetera. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks so much for that.
Absolutely. And so I love that you said that you were marketing how again on social media, was it?
Yeah, a lot of newsletters and social media,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, cool. So you have kind of a lot of digital platform. One thing that Chloe mentioned that I'm so glad that you did is that creating the themes. And one way that I love creating a sustainable and consistent marketing system for yourself is to take your, say, 4 themes, right? Your 4 highest values, I would say, 4 highest values, and turn those in to a theme each, you know, like every 3 months. So, you know, you said empowerment and supporting. Um, you had you had a lot of different values in there, but like if you assigned one each, one for each month, and then you repeat it every three months. That's a whole year that you were taking somebody, like a new follower or a new community member on a journey, that they had the consistency and the variety of all the different really highest values that you had, that you can go a little deeper each month, um, and then go ahead and create that. Chloe, one other little pro tip that I will give you, because I really truly believe that reach and visibility of the new, like a new kind of market out there is a challenge, is start, and I don't know if you've done this, but like start to find or search for, especially on social media, like other organizations that value the same things that you value, and how can you create like a partnership or do a little live or do some sort of collaboration with them, because again, they already found probably a pocket of people who your organization serves differently, which could be great, right? Because they've already done some of the legwork of cultivating that community. So mix and match and add more value to their community by collaborating with them. This is easily done on Instagram and social media. If we just spend a little time each day poking around, asking questions, connecting with people, sending a direct message saying, hey, I love what you're doing. You're really aligned. You're really like-hearted with what we're doing here too. If there's any chance that we can, you know, just have like a one-on-one chat or collaborate, like I want to know how we can better serve you as well. So just asking how I can help you too to these other organizations could be really powerful. Does anyone else want to share a different way that they market? Maybe not on social media, because I want to make sure that we see different options beside just social media. Some people hate social media, and I say, if you don't like it, don't use it. There's other ways that we can market our businesses or organizations rather. Does anyone else want to chime in and ask a question? I know we've got some awesome organizations out there. We'd love to hear from you. No one? Okay. So if that all makes sense, I just wanted to share that the biggest message here is a sustainable system. Marketing cannot be spaghetti against the wall, and I'm sure you've heard that too before. But it can't just be, "Ooh, we're free," or "We're just starting up," or "We're really excited to launch something important." It's got to have this consistency, because as Chloe mentioned, you know, like there are going to be times that you're sharing your newsletter out and you're like, who the heck is looking at our newsletter? Or you're sending out your social media content post, and 3 to 6 months goes by and like the engagement is not there. But the whole point of creating a system for yourself in marketing and marketing with ethics and marketing through your highest values, and and sharing with people, hey, I'm not here to sell anything to you. I'm here that we can collaborate together, that between us knowing each other and coming together as a community with the structure of my organization, we can really make some positive, impactful change, right? And this is taking that dynamic from I'm up here and you're down here. You're my customer, or you're my supporter, you're my donor or my fundraiser, down here, and I'm up here collecting it all and deciding what to do with it. It's instead communicating a way that we can say, listen, if you and I support our gifts and talents and abilities together, I'll come up with the organization standards, and we'll make this work on this side. And this is what we need from you. And let's together make this change happen. Let's do this on a consistent basis. Let's really talk about this on a much more community type level, where we're all on a level playing field, that their contribution is just as important and as empowering as our contribution as organization leaders, right? This is such a different way that marketers are not crafting their messages. They're crafting it as like, here, you guys over here, you can help me do this so I can do more over here. And it just feels so disconnected, right? So even if you change the way that you're sharing that powerful message to include people and not put them in a bucket of, this is the limit to where you can contribute. If you just can come up with some brainstorming ideas and content around that, I feel like you're going to start to educate and empower your audience, where they feel like they are part of your community instead of feeling like they're just a line item on your email list, right? So all these things create sustainable marketing systems that help people stay with you. It's so much cheaper and more effective for your organization to empower and lift up an existing audience than always having to go fish out for some cold people who you have to re-explain everything to, reconvince them, take them down that journey again with them to fall in love with you and what your organization stands for. So think about how you can almost lift up people in your organization currently to do even more and to be more of a spokesperson using the type of things that we've talked about today. Okay. Anyone else here write content consistently that they feel really excited about, like creating a values per month? Is there anyone who wants to share anything about that? Like any questions around how to create content out of your values and what that looks like? Everyone's going to be whipping out some awesome messages tomorrow right away. I'm here for questions if you have it. If you have any questions. No. Okay, cool. So that's one more thing I wanted to share. Last but not least, before I let you all go for your lunch break, is joining my community. I know this is positioned as your ethical business, and I really support business owners, but I do really support people with a business mindset who are also organizations, because it's all the same stuff, right? All we're doing is cultivating communities. It's all the same. So, of course, you heard a little bit how my approach is different than selling stuff, right? We just want to be those game changers and group facilitators, and we want to help people make the world a better place. So on Facebook or LinkedIn, you can find, this is all for free, your ethical business community group. So you can search that in Facebook or LinkedIn, typically on Facebook. And I have a live show each and every week that I like to feature one leader in this business organization called Your Ethical Business. And each week it's called Ethical Leaders Live. And if you have an organization that needs some extra ears and eyeballs on what you're doing, I'd love to feature you as somebody. As you all are here, I know that you're already aligned with the message of ethical marketing. You have some great organizations. So join the group and let's get talking, because I'd love to be able to support you with some more ideas, but most of all, share more about what you're going through and what your maybe challenges are with getting your message out there into the world. And the group is at, maybe 220 people. So those are 220 more people who are believers of ethical leadership and ethical businesses who want to support organizations, charities, foundations, sporting organizations around the world, just like yourself. So give it a try, and I'd love to welcome you into my group. If you have any other questions about that, let me know. But yeah, I know we're finishing a little bit early here. That was a lot of information for you all, but if you have questions or you want to connect with me further on social media, my name is Dana Magnus, and you could check out marketingbrand.com, mktgbrand.com, and I'd love to connect with you and stay in touch and hear more about how I can empower you to share ethical marketing across your organization. Thanks so much and have a great rest of your day. And I'll stick around for any questions if people have more specific questions. All right. Hey, John. Not sure if you wanted to ask something. Can't hear you if you're speaking. So Chloe's from Boston. Who else from some other East Coast areas? Man, this wall of silence is it's weird. So if anyone's out there, SOS. Does anyone have any other questions? Any last comments? Want to share anything cool that they're doing? No? Hope everyone's joining the group because that would be cool. All right. Well, if no one has anything else, I will end our meeting here, and I will definitely invite you all to connect with me further. So yeah, have a great rest of your conference time at Sports Philanthropy World, and hope to see you around soon. Have a good one.